Welcome. We are visiting the Code of Criminal Procedure for the trial of offences. Today, we are focusing upon one aspect, and it is as that what is the whole purpose of having a trial? The trial, as an end result, is either a conviction or acquittal. In case of conviction, the punishment provided is in the form of imprisonment or fines. And imprisonment essentially would mean segregating a person from the mainstream society. So the purpose of the trial ultimately gets reduced to segregating a person who have committed a crime. And basis for this policy is that person who commits crime is having a particular mental state which is not conducive with the existence, coherence existence, peaceful existence as a society. Now it is here that we have to revisit as to what are the standards and what are the yardsticks in terms of which this punishment of imprisonment for a particular period as such stands determined. Say a particular offense is provided a punishment, say, up till 10 years. Once it is said it is up till 10 years, that is from 1 day to the whole range of 10 years is a permissible, is a lawful punishment. Now, all it is to be determined as such is not given in the code itself, though there are different judgments and adjudicational experience and the precedents are laying down some outer sketch, some broad principles. However, it is felt that it is a casual approach. It is not a coherent, integrated, legislative type of activity. So we can say that Code of Criminal Procedure as it is, or other relevant enactments as these are silent with respect to the suspect. If we go to the history of the legislative procedural enactments, particularly Code of Criminal Procedure, then we'll find that we have been passing through different phases, and this classical and orthodox setup in which the Code of Criminal Procedure and other parallel enactments were conceived, legislated, enacted, and enforced were certainly of very different set of situations. To be specific, when we go to 1857, when the power was transferred from the East India Company to the British Parliament, and when our first freedom movement had not been successful, and when the British Parliament, in the background of their experience, had taken the responsibility for having a lawful regulation of the activities, particularly the crimes, then they had, to best of their knowledge, wisdom, experience, and the circumstances of the time, philosophy of the time, jurisprudence of the time, they had given us this particular code and with some minor touches here and there, we are living under the same classical orthodox mental state behind this code of criminal procedure. The times have changed, particularly the technologies, coherence, overpopulation, and other compelling circumstances of shortness or otherwise of the exploitation of the resources, reach to the outer space and all that. Our principles and values for having our regulation of ourselves as a society also have considerably changed. So today I am posing, let us approach this code from the touchstone of kindness. We feel that the kindness is dormant here. It is in a very, very sleepy state. There happens a crime, FIR is recorded, steps are taken, trial completes, judgment of conviction follows, some sentence is determined, and man is sent to the prison. And then judicial set up, the judicial system as such goes as if it has completely discharged its responsibility. The points which emerge for consideration for having revisit to the code of criminal procedure, and certain points which I am pointing deserve to be considered, to be pondered over, and to be appreciated, and to be given a attention whether these deserve to be incorporated. In fact, from my point of view, a whole code of criminal procedure deserves to be approached differently as the times have changed. But even if it is taken to be piecemeal touches, then we have to consider these points which I am now focusing. One is that when there is a punishment, the upper limit of the punishment of imprisonment is provided, then guidelines also should be legislated how the conviction, punishment, permissibility range is to be punctuated, why a particular person is to be given only 1 day's imprisonment when the total punishment provided is 10 years, and so on. The second aspect to be considered is that court's jurisdiction deserves to be extended till the punishment is complete. And as we frame a charge, so a certificate should be issued as that the person who was subjected to imprisonment has completed the term and one is in a state that he shall be reunified in the society. Code of Criminal Procedure at present naturally provides a segregation when one is asked to remain in prison, even during trial and even after the conviction sentence stands imposed. So segregation of a person from the mainstream society and then decision to reunify that person, reinsert that person back in the society. This segregation period, which is called a prison term, this conviction, this jail sentence, this segregation period is the period which is not remaining within the eyes of the judicial system. It goes to a different department. It becomes the responsibility of a different department. And that way, what happened to that person who have gone through the segregation period, remained in prison, it doesn't come on specific record through authenticated certification as that the reasons for which his segregation had been there is diminished, is dissolved, is absolved, and the person now is fit to be reunited with the mainstream society. So, court jurisdiction as such also deserves to be revisited, and same deserve to be re-legislated. And one point of view is that it shall extend up till the date of certification that yes, now this person who was segregated is entitled, deserve, and also deserves to be put reunited with the society. Now, these principles, as these are, also bring us face to face with as to whether, since the moment of taking cognizance of the offense, whether or not some sort of institutional arrangement is to be there to gauge the degree of distortion which stands caused in the personality of the particular person who offended the things. Now, without determining the degree of distortion in the personality of the individual, going through simply as that he was physically involved in some activity and then pronouncing a particular judgment of conviction and order of his segregation from the mainstream society and to be put in a prison, and after physical expiry of that period, the man is to be again brought back and reunited in the society. Therefore, my stress is that we as lawyers, we as students of law, we as analysts shall put to ourselves, pose to ourselves, whether the present practical actuality of the implementation of the steps of Code of Criminal Procedure, whether these are parallel with the need for segregation of an individual for his particular acts and the term for which he is to remain segregated, and the way the person is to be treated, dealt with during that segregation period, and the way it is to be certified whether the distortions because of which he was decided to be segregated stand absolved, whether or not the distortions because of which the person was considered to be segregated has improved upon, corrected, and if so, how and in which way we shall have amendments or total fresh new principles, Code of Criminal Procedure. Therefore, to have the realistic view, we must have some case studies. We shall take up 1, 2, 3, or 4 different cases and then reach at the conclusion that the way we are treating at present under the Code of Criminal Procedure, the same is not conducive with the humanism at all. The kindness is being sacrificed completely. Man is being treated absolutely in an inhuman way. But from where to begin, how to begin, what steps to be taken, and who is to take it, from where it is to be initiated, these all are the questions and questions and questions. There are no answers, but we have to search for the same. It is in this background that from tomorrow I am taking up the reality of appointments and training of the judicial officers as well as of the advocates. It is this aspect which is of prime importance, that it is only in terms of it we can have realization as to where we are and where we want to be. For it as well, at present, I have to go by the way the persons, aspirants for judicial service, are put to tests and examinations, and the way they have to be through training. And then it will be appreciated as to how this whole procedure as such deserves to be given a fresh look. I may start with the legislative and judicial history of state of Haryana because it is too near to us. It takes us only to the year 1966. So all these years, events, happenings, and progress during this period is lively within our eyes, within our memories, so we can well appreciate it. And in the background of it, we shall be extending. At present, the recruitment to the judicial service is at two levels, at the judicial magistrates level and at additional session judges level. The further higher appointments or selections for the High Court and Supreme Court. We will begin with the stage of recruitment of the magistrates and sub-judges, and in this background, we will be appreciating our justice system. Thank you very much.